So let's get into workplace strategies now. This is going to be the final piece of this puzzle for part 2. So there's a couple things you want to do. If you're, as you can tell by now, your life is going to be hard. So you want to make your life as easy as possible, and you want to make as much money as possible. And to do that, you're going to need workplace strategies that are going to be helpful for you. Number one, the most important thing in the world is making your boss like you. If your boss hates you, then you should find a new job immediately, because your life's going to be hell. It's very easy to fire a salesman. It's very easy to put more pressure on you. It's very easy to make your life uncomfortable as a boss. Forget about being an alpha male, okay? You want to be an alpha male, but to your boss, you are a beta male. You are a player in the game of life, and if you're trying to come in as an alpha and you're trying to command your boss, no, that's not how it works. Show him you have the same interest, the same sense of humor, the same everything, right? You want to be his buddy. And it's a matter of your survival, because your resources are at his command. Your entire life is at his command, right? Your entire lifestyle, this guy with the signature of his pen can turn the tap off on your entire life, okay? That is why I'm telling you guys to start a fucking business, by the way, and start your own business where you control your own revenue stream, and you'll never be in that position again. But when you are in that position, this is fucking serious, okay? And you need that guy to like you. Like The Rock said, know your role and shut your mouth. Never disagree with him in meetings. Always be agreeable. If he corrects you on something, just say, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's a great idea," or whatever. Just be that guy. Okay, you're a wage slave. You're a slave, so be the best fucking slave you can be, because that's how you're gonna make the most money, and that's how you're gonna make it easier on yourself. You can resist and you can be defiant all day, but it doesn't matter. You signed the damn contract. You signed selling your time for money. You can convince yourself that you're not a slave and all that, but you are. So you might as well be the best one and make it as easy on yourself as possible. And, in the first couple weeks, this is really important. Dressing well, asserting yourself, presenting the image of a winner. A lot of the sales managers are functional sociopaths, so they might hire you, but if they think you're weak, then you're going to be the office whipping boy. And every office has a whipping boy. He's the guy that everyone just fucking rides for points all day, and he just takes the beating. We had a Croatian guy who spoke horrible English, and everyone would just whip this guy all day. Don't be that guy. Establish yourself quickly as a winner, as a producer, and someone who's going to assert yourself if one of the other boys is trying to mouth off to you. That's the kind of guy that you got to be, and you got to establish that within a couple weeks, and you got to make your boss like you. So you make him like you, but not to the point where you're sucking his dick. He's got to be able to respect you as another guy, but he needs to know that you are under his command, and that you're doing everything that he says and all that stuff, and he's going to love you. Number 2, hit your targets. This is what it's all about. The fastest way to make your boss hate you is miss your targets. The fastest way to make him like you is hit your targets. You hit your targets in sales, you can do pretty much anything you want. Okay, this is number one priority. Hit your targets. Number 3, make the other guys like you. So if you're a confident, well-dressed guy coming in, the other salesmen are going to hate you for the first week because you're going to be a threat, right? You're going to be a threat to their number. It's just natural alpha male instincts. And when you're working there for a while, you're going to see another guy come in, walking the walk, talking the talk, and subconsciously you're going to hate that guy because he's competition. So what you need to do is you need to still assert yourself, be confident and whatever, but still be super friendly to all the guys. So a lot of your coworkers are going to be real retards, primitive retards. So you're going to have to assert yourself if guys are trying to ride you a little bit, but you should also be super friendly to everyone. So you're a confident, cool guy who's super friendly, but you will not take an ounce of bullshit from anyone but your manager. That's going to make you a really hard guy not to like, because You're showing that you deserve respect, but you are also giving the guys a lot of respect, and you are diffusing a lot of that hatred by being really nice to people. It is very hard to hate someone who's really nice to you, okay? And you also want to go along with the culture and be as much of that part of that culture as possible. So sales culture is white, middle class, masculine. The guys who are best at sales are like middle class ex-jocks. And a lot of these guys come from smaller towns or whatever to make money in the big city. To get these guys to like you, present yourself as that guy, culturally white. You don't have to be a white guy. You can be an Asian guy or whatever, but you're culturally white, middle class ex-jock. And I hate sports. You guys know that I think sports are a complete waste of time. But to talk to clients and to talk to guys, like I would always, at least for the first 6 months, hockey's very big in Canada, and I would pretend like I liked hockey. And sometimes I would watch I would read the highlights for the sports highlights for that day, so I would know what to talk about. Guys will talk about sports for like 2 hours at work, or that goddamn fucking fantasy football all the fucking time. So like, you gotta pretend, you gotta act like you're part of that, or you're gonna be left out. I'm telling you, sports is such a huge thing in sales. Like, if you straight up tell guys you don't like sports, they're not gonna trust you, and they're gonna think you're an outsider. It really is that big. So, play the part, right? If it sounds like I'm telling you to live a lie, you're right. From the suit, the custom-made suit, to the way you talk to your clients, the way you talk to the guys there. 50 hours a week, you're going to be living a lie in exchange for resources. You're going to be doing stuff that you're not wanting to do. I'm talking to you guys right now in Thailand, and I'm wearing soccer shorts and a t-shirt. I don't have to lie about anything anymore. I can dress whatever the fuck I want to do. I can go wherever the fuck I want to go. I can say whatever the fuck I want to say. Like, the way I'm talking to you now is the way I want to talk. But I couldn't talk like that when I'm working in sales. I can't be a red pill guy working for a corporation. All right? You got to do this in exchange. You get money. That's the game. And if you think it sounds like a shitty deal, you're right. Try doing it for a decade. It is a shitty deal. When you really get into it, you're going to see why I fucking harp on you guys so hard to have your own business. Because when you have your own business, then you're in the driver's seat. When you don't, someone else is in control of your life. Number 4, lie about your finances. Okay, if you don't have money in the bank, do not let anyone in your company know that, especially your boss. Because if your boss knows you need money, he can leverage that by leaning on you really hard, because he knows that you can't afford to quit. And I've seen this happen. To guys who are like in their late 30s. Their boss is 30 years old. They know that he just got a new house, and the guy can't leave. He's got a demanding wife. He can whip him all day, and the guy's just going to have to take it, because he can't even afford the 2 months or whatever to find a new job. And the guy's just beaten down, broken man, and it's rough. If you're fresh out of school, and make it seem like you come from money, or like you've had jobs before, and let people know that you're not worried about money. Like, never talk about money problems. Or like, I would hear sales guys like, oh, is it payday yet? My answer will always be like, oh, I don't know. What day do we get paid again? It doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter to me, right? If they know that you're hungry and that you need money, they're going to whip you harder. Okay. These are the kind of people that you're working for. And I've seen this firsthand. I'm not making this shit up. Do not tell people that you're poor, because any edge they have on you, they're going to use. Number 5, don't buy into dreams. Your company's dream is not your dream. Your manager is your enemy. His interests are not aligned with yours. He didn't get to that spot by telling people the truth. He got there by selling dreams and shanking salesmen in the back. Okay, not true of all managers, but a lot more than you think. He's going to sell you on all kinds of dreams for your future at the company, but don't believe a word of that, because that's just designed to keep you running fast on the treadmill. The new client incentives, the team meetings, the cash bonuses, all that is just designed to get more money out of you. Okay, if he's an honest guy, he's just going to tell you that. He's just going to say, look, you're 2 to 3 months away from being fired at all times. Head office says you have to hit these targets. If you don't hit them, you get fired, right? But it's the guys who sell you a dream and try and sell you how try and spin stuff from head office and all that, they're bullshitting you, right? There's a reason I'm still friends with one of these guys, because he was just a stand-up guy, and he would just get up and he would just be like, look, guys, we need to hit your targets or someone's going to get fired. Then that's it. And he would just be straight up, because your company's dream, your dream is not your company's dream. Okay. When they're selling you a dream, that is the owner of the company's dream, or it's a sales manager's dream, not your dream. Okay. Your dream is your own business where you get to keep what you make, right? Your dream is not being an employee. So don't remember that, or don't forget that. You're only there out of necessity. If they could replace you with a machine or a phone monkey in the Philippines, they would, without a second's hesitation. I worked in an ad sales and conference sales company, and we had one guy who sold delegate sponsorships, or he sold delegates. So basically, he would sell people on going to the events. Now, this was not the most difficult kind of sales. He was like the lowest end guy in our company. And one day they just replaced him with someone in the Philippines, because they're like, yeah, we'll lose a little bit on our conversion rates, but we have to pay these people, a tenth of what we pay this guy. And then he was gone. And, that's business. So there's nothing wrong with that, but it's wrong to sell a guy a dream on that. So don't buy into the company dream. Okay, the dream's not yours. You have no equity. It's the company owner's dream, or it's the sales manager's dream. With that said, a lot of the time, a sales manager actually buys into the company dream. Okay, he sells you and he sells his clients all day, but he himself gets sold. So it's a whole fucking mess. Just believe in yourself and your own dream and your own business. That's what I'm telling you. Number 6, save your money. Save your money so you don't be the guy who's 40 and still working in sales and has got himself into debt and a wife and kids he can't afford. Fortunately, that's what most salesmen do. Most salesmen hate their jobs and hate their lives 50 hours a week, so they spend their money on booze and they spend their money on expensive toys and big screen TVs and live paycheck to paycheck. Yes, guys making $150,000 live paycheck to paycheck. Build a safety net for yourself so that you can invest in your business and pay for your business and get out of, having to work in sales forever. Number 7, learn how to service and sell your clients. Selling is the most marketable skill and important skill that I have. Servicing your clients is the next most important and marketable skill that I have. In part 3 of this series, I get into exactly how to sell, and in part 4 of the series, I tell you how to service your customers. I'm going to give you a lot of information on that, but nothing is better than real world training. So learn how to sell and service your clients. Number 8, use Phenibut. My sales numbers triple on Phenibut. It is that powerful. If you want a performance enhancer in sales, caffeine plus Phenibut is that performance enhancer. Number 9, get off the phone. Get out of phone sales as quick as you can. You're always going to be capped earning-wise. You're always going to be monitored heavily. You're always going to have to be in the office. Get into outside sales as early as possible, ideally right out of school. You'll make more money. You'll get a car. You'll get a phone paid for. You get to work from home a lot of the time. I knew a guy my buddy in Toronto, who was making over 6 figures a year, $150,000, and I think he only went to like 2 or 3 meetings a week, right? He didn't even go into the office more than once every 2 weeks, and the rest of the time he just spent smoking weed and playing Xbox. Now, he was a great salesman, but after the first couple of years, he just was managing clients and just hitting targets. And I asked him, did you, at one point we were having a conversation if he wanted to move into management or whatever. He said, hell no. He said, then he'd have to go into the office and actually work. This guy was, living the salesman's dream, because he had a region that he sold office, large, like office equipment and stuff like that. He had a region that he covered, his territory. He'd have to go visit his clients every every once in a while. It was a huge company, so the clients weren't going anywhere as long as he just did some minimal problem solving with them. And then every 5 years he would go in and say, hey, it looks like you need a new machine. I'll drop the paperwork for you. It's going to run a lot smoother, blah, 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 blah. That compared to the average phone sales job is night and day. So get into those outside sales jobs as quick as possible. It'll be like you reach the promised land if you're coming from like phone sales or you're coming from, God forbid, a call center. Number 10, plan your exit. Let me paint the picture. You're 45 years old. You're bouncing from job to job every 3 years. Your coworkers and your manager are 10 to 15 years younger than you. Every 3 years at your new job, you start from scratch building a new book of business, which is the hardest thing to do in sales. And then you get fired when you burn out. You've also got a mortgage and a car and a family to pay for. Eventually, you develop problems with alcohol, food, cigarettes, drugs, or all of the above. As I said, I worked with a guy in his 60s who ended up having a stroke from all the stress. Took him a year to recover, and he came back. He was now a cold caller. So he was demoted from a salesman to a cold caller, which was the job we had for 20, 21-year-olds. He was incredibly overweight. He had an alcohol problem. He had a greedy wife and kids. And eventually he got fired by a 32-year-old sales manager. Another example, a guy who was 43 or 44 worked with me. Our manager was 30 at the time, and our manager was a guy who had actually trained him. Okay, so the 45-year-old guy had trained our manager on how to sell when he was 21 at another company, and he eventually had to go work for and get fired by that same guy. And this guy was at a different job every 2 years. Every time he'd get a message from him on LinkedIn, it would be like, oh, he's at another job. Sometimes it would be he was there for 6 months. This guy's in his 40s. I mean, terrible, terrible way to go. So it's not pretty. Get out as soon as you can and get into your own business. That's all I'm going to say. Don't spend all your money on toys and big screen TVs and all this shit. And lastly, if your business is gearing up and it's ready to go, get fired. That's what I did on my way out. Get fired. It's very easy. Just stop hitting your numbers. Once you've got your cash and your exit plan, get yourself fired, because quitting is dumb when you can get fired. Not only do you get packaged out, and if you've been there for like 3 or 4 years, you might get packaged out at like 30 grand or 40 grand. They might have to pay you that out, or depending on how much money you've been making. But you get months of employment insurance to help finance your business, right? Not that the government needs to know about that, and not that I did that, because I don't advocate doing anything that's illegal. But what I'm saying is, the top bracket for employment insurance in Canada is $40,000. You get the equivalent of $40,000 a year. If you were making the top income bracket, you get 10 months of employment insurance. That totals to $40,000, right? A lot of money. A lot of money for not working. So why would you quit when you can get fired? And not only that, when you get fired, you get packaged out, you get the employment insurance, and they got to pay you for the commissions. If you quit, you get nothing. Quit, you're gone. Now, yes, you have to suck up your pride a little bit, but I'm telling you guys, it's worth it. Exception to the rule is, if you've been working at a company, especially if it's a smaller, mid-sized company, and the guy's been really good to you, and he's a nice guy, and your manager's a nice guy, and the owner's a nice guy, okay, you can't do that. You got to be, if the guy's been good to you, but if it's like the average sales job where you're not treated well, just don't have any mercy about that. Not only do you get to relax a little bit and coast on the work that you've done and not have to worry about your targets, but you get all of that money in the end. And at the end of the day, it's your survival, man. You gotta get out of slavery and into your own thing by any means necessary, as far as I'm concerned. If you're not born with a silver spoon in your mouth, you're born as a wage slave, and you got to get out of that and get into your own thing. I'm telling you that from Thailand. I'm looking out the window and it's warm and it's beautiful every day, and I get to do this every day Okay, this is night and day from my old life. So make it happen. Get out. And if you have to get fired to get the money that you need, then do that, as long as it's not a really good guy that you've been working for. Because this is serious business, guys. This is your life, and you got to do what you have to do.